Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Devin. My father works in the movie business, and I'm in the process of watching all the movies he's ever worked on and ranking them like my opinion actually matters. This video is finally the interview that I had with my dad a couple weeks ago, answering some of the questions that you guys have asked. So I hope everybody enjoys, and I will see everybody next time. Thank you. Bye.
Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Bill O'Leary, and I'm a motion picture gaffer.
Can you explain what a gaffer is?
A gaffer is the chief electrician. Responsibility entails anything that involves electricity,
Mm.
from curling irons
Mm-hmm.
to heaters to work lights to Ritter fans. Um, the biggest facet of the job is set lighting.
Mm.
So, as the department head, the gaffer basically spends his time on set lighting. The crew will take care of various electrical needs that other departments may have, like lightning machines,
Mm.
welding, you know,
Mm-hmm.
anything, blow dryers, whatever it is, coffee pots. But the biggest part of it is powering the lighting and then
Mm-hmm.
placing the lighting and setting the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So the gaffer works hand in hand with the DP, um, and a couple other departments uh, to make lighting decisions and implement the lighting.
How did you get into the business and what is some advice for someone who wants to be a gaffer?
I got into the business when I took film as an elective in college. I was doing still photography and darkroom, and I decided, as kind of a riff on that, I would take a film class and just learn about that topic. And I just found it more interesting.
Did
So
you
then
ever think about doing anything other than gaffing? Like, did you go in wanting to do?
well, I wanted to shoot. I wanted to be a
Okay.
DP. But like I tell
Mm-hmm.
people, I got to the point where I couldn't afford the pay cut. When you start, like everybody wants to be a director, but
Right.
everybody's not going to be a director. A
Right.
film can have 150, 180, 200 people on the crew. How many directors are there?
One.
One. So any
Yeah.
job like that's a lot more difficult. There's only one gaffer. If you want to make a living, you can be an electrician or, a grip or a costume person or a makeup, the fourth makeup person. But
What is some advice you would give to someone who wants to be start out as gaffing? Where should they start?
you're not going to start out as a gaffer. You're going to start out as an electrician. You're going to start out as a PA.
Do you need to go
Then
to school to do gaffing, or can you learn it all essentially on the field?
you have to learn it in the field. There's no class that I know of at any film school about how to be a gaffer. There might be a film curriculum that has a cinematography class, but I've never heard of one that has a gaffing or a key grip class. You gravitate to a department when you're a PA, eventually maybe non-union work or, things like that. Or if you watch and observe and talk to them, you know, you pick up things that way.
What is your favorite, or what is the hardest time of day to emulate via lighting?
Make it look like daytime at night.
Ah, I
It's
didn't even
harder to
think
do
about that.
that. Unless,
When would you
unless
have to do that?
say you run out of time and you lose the location that day and you have to be out of there per the contract, the location
Right,
contract, and you're missing a close up.
right.
You wouldn't, like, if you were starting to get pushed against the wall, you would do the
Mm,
wide stuff to take advantage of what's there and
right.
leave things that you could control and emulate. So, but that's the hardest thing, to make it look.
When work gets hard, what keeps you grounded?
Yeah, different situations present different problems.
Mm,
By nature, I'm kind of an easygoing person. Every job is different. I mean, the hours can be ridiculous, but, once you're in the union, you tend not to work ridiculous hours as
mm,
often
mm.
because the production is punished if they do that. because everyone is making double time, 2.5
Right.
times meal penalties. You have to be able to say, hey, I'm being paid good money to do this.
Yeah.
And I just by nature, I enjoyed the job. So, I could always find something I enjoyed.
What was the hardest movie you had to work on?
Physically, I would say either Fargo
Mhm.
or The Taking of Pelham 123, the remake.
Mm,
Months in the tunnels,
yeah.
and you have to work at night when it's less busy
Right.
on a closed track. But the
Jesus.
track 10 feet away from you is still open. But if you go down there at 1 a.m., there's a lot less trains. So working
It
in a
was all
filthy,
night.
dark tunnel for that length of time at night, the dust and the noise
Soot.
and yeah, that was hard. And that was hard mentally too. It takes a toll. And the
Yeah.
Fargo was just brutally cold.
I was thinking about those boots that you had.
The moon
Those
boots.
like the moon boots that were like the soles were like 5 inches thick and it went all the way up to your knee.
That company was opened for the construction of the Alaska pipeline. That's where that gear came from.
Where do you see the destruction and or benefit of AI in the use of like production?
I see the benefit for the studios and the producers. I see the destruction for a lot of the crafts. There's a movie that's just came out. I forget who directed it. A director that's been around, but basically they shot it in the gray box,
Hmm.
and they had a few props, like they would have a couch, but they didn't need the end table,
Right.
and they didn't need the wallpaper. They put the window in later, and they just flatly illuminated it. And then later with the AI, they adjusted the lighting, and so I think
Ugh.
I hate to say it, but I think it's going to fundamentally change the business
Yeah.
more drastically than any other change we had, whatever sound,
Right.
color, certainly tools, Steadicam, whatever. This is going to fundamentally change the very nature of the business. But from a
Do you think
business
it's
standpoint, it's not really a good business model.
right?
Traveling 100 people halfway around the world, and. But like I tell my guys, we're in the process of being Uberized.
Mm,
Tech is going to change fundamentally change the way films are made, and most of the studios have been gobbled up already.
yeah. Well, you're
You
getting
know,
out at the right time.
in that sense, I am. Yeah, if I was a code writer, or if I
Mm,
was a visual effects person, then there would be opportunities. But as
right.
someone that has a craft,
Hmm.
I hate to say it, but I think it's going to change drastically.
Have you ever been disappointed with the result of a film after months of working on it
Of what I did, or of the film as
as a
a.
whole?
Oh yeah, certainly.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Well, I'm a little reluctant to say that, but I mean, sometimes I would have to take a job for money.
Right.
I want it to be the best film that it can be, and I want to help that happen. But I realize that there's times when you got to pay bills.
Yeah.
So you take a job. I mean, you work on a TV commercial. I'm not expecting a masterpiece.
Right.
I'm there to make money. So, and that
Right.
happens with movies sometimes too. You know, so but
And then
certainly some I've been pleasantly surprised with also.
has there been a movie that you worked really hard to make it look great and when you watched it you were disappointed with how your work looked?
That's a tough question to answer because if I'm working for a DP
Hmm.
and that person has an idea of what they want, either because they want to move really fast or they don't care to take the time to do something,
Mm,
I can tell it's not going to look as good as it could look. But
right.
like I said earlier, I have to accept that because I'm working for that person. I'm still
Mm,
paid the same.
right.
My guys are still paid the same. If if you take a film with a really short schedule, the corners will be cut. You're
Hmm.
not going to have the crew size you want. You're not going to get all the rigging equipment you need. You're not, yes. So after a while, you can tell.
What scene, if there's a specific scene or if there's an entire movie that you lit? That's okay.
I didn't light it. I worked on it. I wouldn't say I lit
Right.
it.
And that's probably your proudest
Well, yeah. I mean,
work.
it got the Oscar for Roger.
Yeah.
Several I'm very happy with.
Mm,
Different looks.
right. Have you ever accidentally messed up something electrical and something bad occurred from it?
On a film set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I take the Fifth Amendment.
Okay.
No, I set sprinklers off once.
Oh, I think I remember this story. Was it in an apartment? You were filming in an apartment?
No, it was in a dance hall in Los Angeles on the second floor of a dance hall. I talked about it on Roger's podcast, Roger and James's podcast. It's very easy to make a mistake,
Yeah.
because there's so much going on
Right.
and there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, yeah, I've made mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
And everybody has those days.
True.
How did I get my name?
You got your name because Roger's from Devon, and your mother and I didn't want to call you Roger, so we decided to call you Devon.
I could have been
Yeah, I mean,
Roger.
I was, by the time you were born, I was, friendly with Roger and
Yeah.
spending a lot of time with him,
Mm.
you know. So, he changed the trajectory of my career and my life. I met
Yeah.
him on Sid and Nancy,
Mm. What
and
year was that?
I think it was 85. I
Wow.
think. The way films are consumed now
Mm-hmm.
has profoundly changed in 5 years.
Yeah.
What happened 5 years ago?
COVID.
COVID.
Yep.
COVID took people out of the theater
Mm-hmm.
and put them on their couch.
Yep.
And that led to the rise of Netflix
Yeah.
and Apple TV.
Yep.
But the very nature of watching a film on an iPad, or even worse, a phone, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to a screen that's 40 feet wide,
Mm-hmm.
lessened the demand for quality.
Yeah.
It can be a lot sloppier now.
Definitely.
If you go in and you're looking at a screen that's like you can't see both sides of it without turning your head,
Right. It's got to be
it's got to be
impeccable.
sharp.
Yeah.
It's got to be, you know, the standard is just higher,
Yeah.
and that makes sense. But I'm just saying these things have led to a degradation in
Mm.
quality and have increased the pressure to go faster. It doesn't matter,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. And you can get away with more cheesy AI stuff or
Yeah.
second-rate visual effects on a screen this big as opposed to,
Can't even pick it up.
yeah. So I mean, this, it's like I said, it's changed drastically.
It's
It's better to
expensive.
watch. Yes, yeah,
It's expensive, but also I'm more likely to be fully invested in the movie I'm watching than if I'm at home with distractions of my dogs
oh
or
yeah,
wanting to go up and get a snack but
yeah,
there's also the benefits of, hey, I can pause this if I have to go to the bathroom
yeah.
and I can pause this and come back
Well, you
another
have to
time.
weigh if it's definitely more immersive going to a theater. It's
Yes.
easier to suspend your disbelief and throw yourself into the movie. There's
Yes.
also something to be said, and I'll say this. I
Mm.
noticed this early in my career before I worked on movies. I worked on industrial movies. We were in New
Mm.
Orleans and we had a
Mm-hmm.
weekend off. And the guy was down there with the other crew. We went to see Airplane matinee on a
Mm.
Saturday. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized sitting in this theater with 120 kids
Yeah.
changed the whole way I watched the movie
Yeah.
because it became this experience where everyone else's experience altered mine, you know, just that they
Yeah.
were hysterical.
Right,
You know,
right.
if I watched that at home, I would have said, yeah, this is kind of lowbrow, you know,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
some I kind of sent humor, but um, there it was totally different. I
Yeah.
remember that for 50 years. I've remembered that.
Very good. Well, we'll schedule the next one for another brutal day.
Well, I'm not working, so just
Right.
let me know.
Well, some people have to work. I wish
Well,
I
I'm
was
just saying
unemployed.
that yeah.